everyone, we are the Migration Center team and we are happy to welcome you to our webinar. Our session today is all about the question how to elevate your Hyland migration strategy. And for this, we take a closer look at Migration Center's features for OnBase and Alfresco. First of all, let me quickly share our housekeeping rules with you. Please note that all attendees are muted during the whole session. Should you have any questions, just answer them into the question panel. And please also note that this webinar is being recorded and we'll share the recording with you shortly after this session. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our speakers to you. Today, my colleagues Frederick, sales representative at FME, and Virgil, who's a consultant at FME, will guide you through the presentation and the live demo. So let me hand over the word to our first speaker. Frederick, it's your turn.
Hello, and also from my side, welcome to this webinar. I'll give you one slide about FME, so you know who we are. FME was founded in 1995 and grew over the years all around enterprise content management. Today, we have reached 280 employees and have a global presence. We have our headquarters in Brunswick. That's a picture you see right there. And then we also have offices in US, Romania, and now latest we open up in India as well. So we can provide our customers and partners with the 24-hour support and also with professional services around the globe. With Migration Center, a product we brought on the market almost 20 years ago, we were leaving the scripting behind us. With Migration Center, we provide our customers and partners with a migration software for complex multi-system migrations out of the box. And with this, we can provide a fast, secure, and for sure, a cost-saving migration. After more than 1,900 projects, 19 years on the market, we have received a lot of feedback from our large customer base why they choose Migration Center at that time. Well, one of the most important things is no other tool offers 250 migration paths out of the box. So no more development, just configuration. Migration Center is quick to learn, and with a brand new user interface introduced last year, Migration Center has become even easier to use. I would like to emphasize that if you are interested to do the migration on your own, we have a customized training package available, and you can be up and running in a day or two. And for sure, don't forget one of the most asked features of Migration Center is the Delta migration. So with Delta migration, you will have no business downtime. The end user can continue to work throughout the migration. So this was to mention a few points. And all this result in a significant saving in cost and duration of your migration projects. Migration Center, our architecture. On the left-hand side, you see our source connectors we spoke about. We have a lot of out-of-the-box API source connectors that can be used to scan and bring the documents out of the old systems. We have generic solutions as well if you don't find your name here. So you can use a file share scanner. We can also use a database scanner. And we can also provide you with a custom system. So in a couple of days, we can develop the system for you and be up and running. We do that a couple of times a year. On the right-hand side, see our target connectors. So it's a lot of target connectors that we have out of the box already. And as you can see here as well, we have generic solutions as well. So we can migrate into different other systems, but also here we can do a custom system if you don't find it here. But today we're here to talk about Hyland Alfresco, Hyland OnBase, and also the Alfresco Cloud path system that we are covering. By saying that, I will hand over the word to my colleague Virgil, who will take you through a little bit about the architecture. Virgil.
Thank you, Frederick. Hello, everyone. This diagram shows our source and target connectors and the general architecture of Migration Center, where your source connectors take in the data is entered into a database, and the content files into a content store. And through the client, you can work with this data and import it into the target system. We support both Oracle and Postgres for the database. The advantages of Migration Center, as Frederick previously mentioned, are the delta migration concept, where your source system can be productive and live during the migration, and no downtime is present for the users or other inconveniences created by the migration process. We also support a large number of source systems that you can scan and migrate to OnBase or Alfresco. Every system previously seen can be scanned and migrated to these targets. And finally, our metadata transformation engine is very powerful. You can do from basic one-to-one migrations, where you just migrate the source attributes to your target, to very complex metadata mappings, where you edit the source data, concatenate your source data into different attributes, and all of this is done in the UI with no scripting or coding required. Migration Center is also very scalable. Depending on the size of your migration, usually you will have one database, but if needed, you can have multiple clients that can connect to this database, and most importantly, one or more job servers. The job server is the component that actually runs the scanning or the importing. On a small project, one job server can be enough to both scan and import, but depending on the size of your project, you can have dedicated job servers that only scan or only import, or even only import to certain repositories, sites, depending on your system. For Hyland, OnBase, and Alfresco, we support basic document migration, versions, content types and aspects for Alfresco. We can set system metadata in the target system. We can migrate folders and permissions. This diagram shows the basic migration process that you will go through during a project, and this is also what I will show during the live demo section, going from the extraction phase to the import phase. During extraction, the metadata of your source system files will be extracted into the Migration Center database, and the content files will be extracted to a file share of your choosing. Once all of this data is in the Migration Center database, it is irrelevant what happens to the source system, so it can be decommissioned without worrying that you will lose the data, or it can keep working, in which case you will probably go down the delta migration route. You can then organize these objects into migration sets, depending on your needs in the categories that best fit your project. Once inside migration sets, you go through the transformation, mapping, and validation stages. You transform the source metadata into the target attributes that will ultimately end up on the target system, and you validate these transformed values so that you can be sure that everything is correct once you do the import. And once the migration set is ready, you import it into your target system. I will now take the screen and show you a basic migration using Migration Center. This is the Migration Center web client. It is structured after the natural flow of your migration, having the scanners, the migration sets, and the importers. You start by creating a scanner and choosing the type of scanner that you will be using. In our case, this demonstration will be for Documentum to Alfresco. Each scanner has its own properties that need to be configured, and I will go to a previously configured scanner so you can see this. This scanner scanned some documents from our Documentum repository. Checking the scan runs, you can see the scan run that I did for this presentation with the number of objects that was scanned. And going to the Source Objects tab, you will be able to see all the objects that were scanned with all the source metadata that was scanned from Documentum and the path to the content store where the actual content files are present. At this point, this Documentum repository can keep being worked on, decommissioned. All the data we need is in the Migration Center database and on our content store. Once scanned, we move to the migration set stage, where similarly, we create a new migration set and choose the type of migration set that we need. All possible scanners can migrate to all possible importers' target systems. In our case, we will be creating a Documentum to Alfresco document mixet. Once we have selected the path, we have all the Documentum scan runs that were done on this database, which we can lock into this migration set. Once a scan run is locked into a migration set, it cannot be selected in another migration set. This way you can organize your data depending on the needs of your project. And similarly, I will go to the migration set that I previously configured, and you can see that the selected scan run is the one we previously seen. The transformation tab is where you will do the bulk of the metadata data transformation from source to target. Each migration set has a certain number of system attributes. These are attributes that are set for the target system and are always present. In this case, Alfresco having types and aspects, a folder path, permissions. And besides this, you have any number of custom attributes that you can configure depending on the needs of your project. You configure these attributes through transformation functions. A transformation function can be anything from a basic get value, which will just return the value of a source attribute, to more complex functions like concatenating strings, editing dates, or if clauses. All of this being done in the UI without having to code anything. For big projects, sometimes these rules can get very complex with a large number of steps, in which case you can use the debug feature where, by using the ID of one of your scanned objects, you can see for each step in a transformation rule the values that will be set. Once you have configured your transformation rules, you will associate them to the attributes that will be set in your target system. These are some Alfresco basic types and aspects that will be set once we do the import. At this stage, we can transform our source objects, and if we look at the target objects, we will see that they no longer have the source Documentum metadata, but the metadata that we have configured during the transformation step. At this point, we validate these values. We check that we have everything that we need for the migration, and we can move to the last stage of the migration, the importer, where, similarly to the scanner, you have a multitude of options based on what your project needs. In this case, we will be importing to Alfresco. And similarly, this is a pre-configured Alfresco importer, which has some credentials, some configurations. It is using an Alfresco job server. Going to the selection tab, we can see available the migration set we previously worked on, Documentum to Alfresco, and we can select this mig set to be imported into Alfresco, at which point we save and run the importer. Here, similarly to the scanners, we have all the previous runs, and we can see our current run importing documents into Alfresco. If any errors are present, each of these runs has logs that can be set to debug to investigate if any issues happen. This has been the basic migration project that you will follow for any project, here specifically for migrating to Alfresco. I will now stop my screen and give it back to Frederick.
Yes, thank you very much, Virgil. Let's see if I can get my screen back here. As you can see, and once you learn one user interface, you can use that for all other connectors as well. So that's why Migration Center is very good when it comes to get up and running fast. A little bit about the license model, how we pricing the system. It's quite simple and straightforward. We have a Migration Center core where you have all the login for the users. So we deliver unlimited numbers of users. We deliver unlimited numbers of job servers that connect to the different systems. So you can scale up and be as fast as you want to. Migration Center will never be the bottleneck. It's you can scale up and be as fast as you need. Then you need path. In this case, something, a source to Hyland. We just saw Documentum to Hyland. You can add different paths to this. You only need Migration Center Core 1, and then you can add as many paths you want to. The good part also is that we have unlimited volume, unlimited numbers of documents that can be migrated. The only limitation is the time frame. We always calculate in time frames of 12 months. You can go for perpetual license, and that is used when you think that the project will go on for more than 2 years. And then we also have project license, also called the lease, which is limited to 12 months. You can, of course, prolong this if you need to. But by saying this, it's very simple and straightforward and no hidden cost at all. So it's easy for you to calculate the project. That's the whole idea behind our licensing model. We also provide migration services. So we can do the installation configuration, we can monitor and reporting, quality assurance, and we can go down to a full service. We can be part of your team. So if you have a team of migration experts, we can be one of them, and you can get that experienced person in your team. So a little bit of getting up the speed and also making sure that you get a good quality on your migration. We can also do a proof of concept before you start to make sure that Migration Center will actually work in your environment with your systems. So before you do any further decisions and planning, you know it will work. We can also do connector development. I mentioned that before. So if you didn't find your system on the list of out-of-the-box enterprise content management systems, you can come to us and we develop a connector. And like I said before, it's very fast. We're talking about days and not months or years to develop something like that. So we're using the infrastructure and architecture of Migration Center and adding and you connect it to it. And this is something we do a couple of times a year. So this is working very well as well. So if you have anything around migration services, you can come to us and ask us. We would be happy to help you. By saying that, we are coming up to the last slide. I will give the word to Valerie.
Well, thank you both for the interesting insights. At this point, I would like to inform you about our dedicated product website. On migration-center.com, you can find all relevant information around Migration Center, more details on its functionalities, but also success stories of former customers and other helpful resources like, for example, our blog or several data sheets. But most importantly, you can request a trial license on our website. So if you're interested in Migration Center and would like to test it, just visit our website and request a trial version there. It is 14 days valid, fully functional, and completely free of charge. As you can see, you can also find Migration Center on social media, on LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. So if you're using those platforms and would like to stay up to date on our product, just follow Migration Center there. And last but not least, we'd like to invite you to the last session of the webinar series we are currently offering. So on April 25, 2 weeks from now, you may want to join our upcoming webinar and learn how to master migrations to the Box platform. If you have any further questions about Migration Center that you did not ask in the questions panel or that come to your mind after the webinar, please do not hesitate to contact us by mail, and my colleagues will be following up with you via email after our session. So with that being said, actually, we already arrived at the end of today's session. So we'd like to thank you all for watching, and we hope to see you again soon.